Late on February 23, 1995, a dreary rainstorm hung over Singapore's night sky. Inside the luxuriously decorated trading office of Barings Bank, the air conditioner droned monotonously, yet the whole room was frozen solid. Countless crumpled stock index slips littered the desk, and a lone desk lamp cast dim shadows across the blank white wall. On this night meant for final account settlement, a 28-year-old man's hands trembled as he scribbled 3 final words on an ordinary slip of paper: "I'm sorry." Without tidying his suit, he grabbed a plain travel bag, pushed open the door silently, and stepped out into the storm-lashed street. His name was Nick Leeson, a figure marked by devastating fate in Britain's financial history. Tonight, let us sit beside the flickering fire and wander through his life with this casual story. Just hours after his escape, explosive news shook Wall Street and the City of London. Barings Bank, 200 years old, custodian of Royal British wealth and survivor of the Napoleonic Wars, collapsed overnight. By hiding losses in a secret error account over 3 years, he racked up $14 billion in losses, more than twice the bank's total net assets. Most saw him as a reckless gambler who ruined an ancient bank, yet few understood his thousands of sleepless nights trapped in an ever-expanding web of lies. How could a genius adept at predicting Nikkei swings and commanding enormous funds end up imprisoned by his own fabricated empire? The night stretches long. Set aside worldly impetuosity and follow the slow narration to touch this lonely soul struggling a generation ago. Strict auditing modeled after Colbert's rigorous oversight became a hollow formality amid the bubbly, wild Asian financial market of the early 1990s. In 1992, 25-year-old rising star Nick Leeson was dispatched from London headquarters to booming Singapore, the new financial hub of Asia. Young and promising, he had a neat square face with the sharp competence and pride forged from humble origins, clear piercing eyes and a well-tailored dark formal suit. Headquarters granted him unprecedented dual authority, chief of Singapore's settlement division and head of the trading desk. This meant he acted simultaneously as striker, referee and scorekeeper in the same game, and this extreme imbalance of power planted the first quiet seed of impending catastrophe. Shortly after his arrival in Singapore, a new female subordinate made a trivial error during index trading, costing the bank £20,000. Per strict London rules, Nick was required to report the full loss to the board by 5 that afternoon and accept pay cuts and demotion. Driven by an obsession for reputation and order akin to Richard Dennis, he refused to let his newly built reputation be spoiled by a silly mistake. On a gloomy evening before rain broke out, hunched before a dim computer screen, he typed the forever famous code into Barings' core system, account 88888, driven by nervous fingers and faint luck. He swept the £20,000 loss into this makeshift, loss storage vault, covering the trail with fake cross-border settlement slips. Standing by floor-to-ceiling windows gazing at neon-lit Singapore's bustling nightscape, he breathed a sigh of relief, thinking he had pulled off a tiny harmless trick. He naively believed that once market trends turned favorable days later, he could earn back the deficit with proficient short-term trading and erase all hidden losses unnoticed. But he overlooked humanity's cruelest truth: covering one lie always demands 10 or 100 more absurd lies. The invisible account 88888 turned into a bottomless beast lurking deep inside Barings' vault, opening its numeric jaws day and night to devour his remaining vitality. Nick Leeson's reckless disregard for regulations and audit restraint stemmed from the humiliating poverty of his early years spent in northern London. We travel back decades to Watford, a damp, frigid working-class suburb shrouded in perennial industrial haze on the outskirts of London. Nick was born into a destitute stonemason's household. His father was an honest, stern craftsman spending his lifetime chiseling cold stone for meager pay. No luxurious fantasy filled Nick's childhood, only Puritan austerity, chronic money shortage and deep shame of being looked down upon by upper-class society. Wealthy London financiers in fine wool overcoats with polished Oxford accents glanced coldly and contemptuously past their shabby cottage, carving lasting trauma into little Nick's mind. Without elite university education or noble family backing, he started working as a junior errand clerk in London banks aged 18 to shake off the stigma of poverty. He spent 14 hours daily inside dusty underground clearing rooms reeking of printing ink and piled documents. Every time he watched affluent senior executives squander millions of pounds casually, his innate fear of poverty and burning ambition to seize control of fate intertwined to shape all his life choices. He realized honesty and compliance only bound ordinary people to lifelong hardship and elimination amid London and Wall Street's profit-driven machine. Only bold, unscrupulous self-promotion could make arrogant capitalists bow down before him. After securing employment at Barings, an overseas assignment, he swore before a mirror to prove to privileged London heirs that a stonemason's son could generate mountains of wealth for their bank. Years of class disparity and mental suppression erased his reverence for rules, turning every transaction into a do-or-die gamble tied to personal dignity. He deliberately concealed all blunders and fed London directors' greed with flawless performance reports and falsified profit data. In his distorted logic, steady fabricated profits guaranteed his irreplaceable status and absolute safety. Yet when vanity and money became his sole armor against the world, he unwittingly unlocked the gateway leading straight to irreversible ruin. As hidden losses inside account 88,888 snowballed relentlessly, 1994 marked Nick Leeson's most dazzling yet illusory peak of his career. London's senior directors hailed the Singapore-based young man as Britain's financial deity, whose reported profits made up nearly half of Barings' annual total earnings. Every keystroke Nick tapped on the Singapore exchange drew torrents of international capital under his command. He purchased a luxury yacht, moved into Singapore's most expensive penthouse apartment, surrounded by sycophantic brokers and socialites. London's top executives praised him openly during transoceanic late-night meetings as Barings' once-in-2 centuries investment prodigy, continuously transferring massive core funds to his account without requesting authentic trading slips. However, this profit empire built on illusion bore fatal flaws from its inception, for all spectacular earnings were fabricated via concealed high-leverage short positions inside account 88888 and endless new capital filling old deficits. By early 1995, undisclosed accumulated losses surged to hundreds of millions of pounds, leaving Nick overwhelmed and desperate, fully aware the balance was tipping toward irreversible collapse. Desperate to wipe out massive deficits, he borrowed Rothschild-style tactical wit to wage his final all-or-nothing battle against fate, violating all risk control rules and wagering Barings' remaining hundreds of millions of principal on long Nikkei index contracts across Singapore and Osaka bourses. He frantically purchased massive batches of index call options, convinced Japan, the mighty Asian economic powerhouse, would stage a powerful market rebound in spring. A few percentage points of upward swing would recoup